With the pen, I'm learning life. My thirst is divine. Words inspire with perfect time. Nurtured right. Them man there be learning lines, rehearsing life. Trust me, far from certified. Acting while you sleep, I'm working nights. I want all the ups to feel like that Jurgen guy on Merseyside.
Am I seeing correctly here? Was
what
that flawless?
Saying,
was that flawless giving all these flows?
Yeah, bro, you didn't know flawless spit?
Nah, oh yeah, go and download it. People,
yeah,
go and
guys,
download that music.
Down in the description below, guys, if you haven't checked it out already. We have been plugging Flawless's tune for like 3 months straight. We're going to plug it till the end of the year because I'm too lazy to make another intro. But guys, big up everybody that's locked in. Hit the like and subscribe button. Don't know how long we're going to be live for in today's video because we're both ill as fuck, but we're going to get into all the latest Chelsea transfer news because there's been a lot that's dropped over the last 24, 48 hours. We might delve into the Chelsea Villa game, but probably not for more than a minute or two because there's nothing more to discuss other than yet another game, yet another loss, yet another game without a goal scored, and another injury. Same old shit. But it is what it is. Big up everybody that's locked in, though. Guys, you already know where to check out Guni's channel, but if you don't know where to, the link is in the description and it's in the title as well. So you guys can't miss it. I don't want to hear no bullshit about you don't know where to find the link or nothing like that. Head down into the description below, like, subscribe, all of that. And yeah, big up everybody that's in here. Guni, what are you telling me, my guy? You all good?
Man, I'm surviving. I started feeling sick yesterday. I woke up today just feeling shot to bits, bruv. Yeah. I think this is to do with all the drinking I've done during the quarterfinal. And guess what? It amounted to nothing, didn't it? Yeah. We're out of the World Cup. I'm sick. I'm in the position where I don't even want to smell alcohol ever again. But some good news, some bad news on the Chelsea side. Obviously, we're going to be discussing that. So I'm looking forward to the conversation, bro. Like the last show that I done with you was one of my favorites. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. You get me?
Yeah, defo. Guys, make sure to see more of this because we're going to be linking up a lot more over the season. So guys, you already know what to do. Like, subscribe, all of that. Big up everyone that's in here. Big up Alex. Matthew, big up yourself. Big up Chelsea. Gavman. 0.44. No, but big up yourself anyway, my friend. E-Man, big up yourself. Santiago, Ariana, Mitchy Boy. Henrik says, when you guys gonna come on Johnny's channel again? We'll hop on whenever, bro. You already know it.
Like it's not Henrik, it's not a thing where you see me. I don't despise or hate Johnny. In fact, I've been talking to him in the DMs. Some people just don't know how to take him. You see, for me, I just understand that's just Johnny. It's Johnny tax. Yeah. And if you get rattled by it, that's on you. Johnny's just going to say what he wants to say. If it's going to affect you, it's going to affect you. If not, it is what it is at the end of the day. But there's definitely no ill feeling towards Johnny, bruv.
Exactly,
so,
man.
Yeah.
We've already come to this. Like, I know Johnny's takes on Mount. I know his takes on Havertz. I know his takes on Pulisic. We ain't going to agree on it. That don't mean we got any issue or anything. Like, me and Johnny can link up for a preview anytime and it's all love. I'll see him at the grounds. We'll buy each other pints and it's all good. So, yeah, might see us on Johnny's channel soon, but we'll have to see. Big up yourself for the little points as well. I'm going to save these two for later on into the stream. In fact, actually, we'll start off with the Felix one because Chelsea's interest in João Felix was heavy under the former owners and the interest is still there now. But it's only remained at a scouting level so far. I also saw in David Ornstein's article about Moukoko, he was also saying some Premier League sides have been led to believe that João Felix could also be available on loan. Now, I've been very, iffy about Felix this tournament. I watched him in the Switzerland game and I was thinking, you know what? This guy is everything Havertz, we all dream Havertz could be. Bring him in. And then we watch him against the Morocco low block and it is the same thing as Havertz. Now I'm in the position where I don't want him unless Kai is going because we already have too many of those profiles. I don't even know if Felix is going to be the answer because of the physical issue and everything like that and him having to adjust to a new league. Also kind of wasting 2 to 3 years at Atletico. But there is still a quality player in there anyway. What's your thoughts on him? Would you push for him? Or is it one of those where players have to leave or you're just not interested in him?
I have a rule that I do try and stick to, and that is to not be too knee-jerk during competitions like internationals, World Cups and Euros and so on and so forth. Because we've seen players have, maverick performances, and then they go to club football, and then it doesn't quite, translate. Do you know what I mean? There's no doubt that Felix is a quality player. This is a player that I've known about since Benfica, and I was very surprised that he actually chose Atletico Madrid. A bit of a career, shot himself in the foot a little bit going to play under Simeone, man. I mean, that man plays satanic football, bro. Do you know what I mean? Right.
OG terrorist.
Yeah, right from the book of Lucifer, chapter 3, fam. Yeah, that's where he's getting these tactics from, fam. 100%. So, look, the quality is there. It's not going to go, but I'm very much in your boat where no denying his talent, but I think there's other players in the attacking positions I would rather prioritize, and purely because it's like you said, the whole Kai Havertz thing, and if there's one player you can sort of compare him to, it is Kai. I feel he's a lot more technical than Kai. I feel he's a lot more quicker than Kai. I feel he strikes a ball better than Kai. But there are one or two others. I'm sure we're going to get into some names that I'm going to say, well, there's a name that I would be signing before get me Felix. So I'm not really too overly bothered about him coming to Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree. I'm more on the same wavelength of you. My only thing is like this weird loan offer that's just popped up out of nowhere. Would that change your perspective? Because I'm in two minds of it. We need someone who's a better finisher, someone who could potentially unlock defenses, but we're putting all of our eggs into the João Felix basket if we do it. And I don't know how much it changes for us, because we need a complete squad overhaul for me if I think we're even looking at top 4 this season.
Absolutely. No, you're right. And for me, the overhaul, it needs to start with the midfield. And I'm just going to keep saying it. And,
Facts.
Everything else, we're not going to see the full capability, especially with our attackers. We're not going to see them at their tip-top prime best until that midfield is sorted. So that's why I'm more on the meds of, look, sort the midfield out. Everything else will be cool. Like, you see with the Nkunku thing, right? I was called negative by a lot of fans, but I said, I acknowledge his quality. I acknowledge him. He looks like a supreme player, potentially. But I cannot get fully excited with the current state of the squad. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you was to give me a guarantee that I've got Declan Rice, as much guarantee as Nkunku coming to Chelsea, now there's something to be. It doesn't even have to be Declan Rice. Yeah, just a DM that is quality, bro. And we work around that. Cool. Now I'm gonna get more excited. But until then, bro, that engine room stinks, and we've got to fix it, fam.
I completely agree, and that's why I was looking at stuff like this Rafael Leao link that popped up earlier today. I saw it from who was it? Florian Plettenberg from Germany.
Yeah.
At this stage, he does want to extend beyond 2024. He's not confident with the offer, which I'm not surprised. I thought Leao would make a step up sooner or later. Chelsea, City, Real Madrid all interested. Which, by the way, Real Madrid interested again. Like, how many fucking players are they looking for at this rate? But we'll get into that later. Chelsea held talks about him in Qatar. Milan refused Chelsea's offer of 70 million euros, which is 62 million pounds, and they want 150 million euros, which is 128 million pounds. Now, I get we need attackers. I get we need goal scorers. And, well, to an extent, we already have goal scorers. But my biggest issue, if we're going to look in this attack, is creativity. And Rafael Leao doesn't tick those boxes for me. If you look at him, if you look at the way AC Milan play, they're a transitional team. He likes playing in space. Where have we had this issue before? And
Werner.
Werner, Havertz, Pulisic, Lukaku. And it's not to say Leao's going to come to Chelsea and be a bum. I'm saying bring Leao to Chelsea once we have creative options for him, because this guy is only going to work with what you feed him. He's going to be great in terms of beating players and all of that. But I'm just looking at this transfer, I'm looking at the fee, and I'm just thinking this is going to be yet another guy who can't break down a low block.
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, this is another player. There's no doubt in his talent, but I'm still very much on the fence of, bro, I'm agreeing with you a lot of, I don't know how good this guy is, for purely the fact that I've only ever seen him effective in a transitional setting, because he will finish you with speed. And another thing is if you're unlucky to be one-on-one with him, no matter how good of a defender you are, he might skin you, bruv. And that's the thing. But we don't find ourselves, quite rightly, like you said, in that situation too much. Yeah, if he beats one, there might be 2 or 3 behind him that he's got to deal with and start making correct decisions more and more often. I haven't seen his decision making on a regular basis. So there's also that. For 150 million, it's absurd. I'm sorry, it's absolutely ridiculous. I like the player, yeah, but even 70 million at a push was for me was like, do you know what? I can live with that. But when we're talking hundreds, 110, 120, nah, there's no way, not for me, because there's several other options that I would rather go for than pay 150 M's for Leao. For example, that brother with the name in Napoli, you know who I'm talking about. I'm not even gonna try and say it, bro.
Varashila.
I salute you for even trying, bro. You get him for less. You get him for less, and he's been at Napoli for a year, knowing how hard that they negotiate as well with De Laurentiis.
Hell, Khalib's bringing. I can't pronounce his name. That's too far for me.
That's one I got. Lee Gunner taught me how to say that one properly.
You know what? Fair play to you. That's 1-1 on that one. But do you know anything about the player? Because I haven't done my research on this one.
I do. And in terms of creation, he definitely is that creative player. Now, he is stronger in that number 10 position. Personally, I would rather a slightly deeper line playmaker than a number 10, because I do feel that we've got options in the youth academy that can step in. If we fix, because this is the thing, we can't oversign in too many areas, because we've still got some gems in the youth academy that can step in once everything else around it is calm. You see what I'm saying? So me personally, I'd rather a central midfielder, someone who sits a little deeper that can create from there. So somebody in the mold of like Frankie de Jong rather than Szoboszlai. Now, he might be able to play CM and he might be able to play it well. But the best I've seen him is slightly more advanced up the pitch.
All right, cool. I'll do my extra research on this one as well. I'll bring it up whenever, if the 10s ever come into conversation as well. Neuron, I see what you're saying. Like, Leao takes on players more, and I get that. We do need that in our squad, but when you're playing against low blocks like we usually do consistently, you don't have that amount of space to deal with. You can't really lock players in one-on-one like that. And when you do, you're usually stuck with another player right next to you. So I get that. If we're playing the bigger teams, that is very key. And that's why we usually play better in those sorts of games. Maybe not this season, but if we look more to past seasons, you get my drift. When you're playing against deep blocks, it's something that Leao isn't necessarily used to. And that's why I'm saying for the price tag, I'm not with it. If we can lower it, maybe. Because I do think we can do that. Like, we've spoken about Benacer potentially being linked to to Chelsea. We could be going in January. And I've already said that, to me, is where you start the Leao talks. And we've seen... what's his name? Damasio. He said over the summer how they were looking at the likes of Christian Pulisic as a potential Leao replacement. There's where you start the conversation. Maybe with a Pulisic or a Ziyech, you could take 40, 50 million off the deal. If you're looking at for 70, 80, I'd still rather we focus on our midfield first. But once that's sorted, I'm a bit more for it. I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like the message for me, and it has been for months now, is I'm not overly fussed with what we do until we've addressed these areas. CDM, a deep line passing midfielder, and I'm going to explain to you why I call it that, and a backup right back. Those are the three priorities that we need to look at. Now, for me, the reason why I call it like a deep line passer is because I'm more of the belief that the team as a whole creates. You see what I'm saying? And that creation comes from the balance in the team, which is something that we don't have. We've got no balance, which is why you're not seeing the ball go forward fast enough. You're not seeing midfielders come and show for the ball. There's so many things. So that's why I say that. But until those three profiles have been fixed. And by the way, the CDM, we can't only sign Declan Rice. We need to sign another. So hopefully that situation with Romeo Lavia, us opening up talks again, if we can also get him, I think those two would be amazing signings for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, and DM has to be the first one for us. Everything that we've heard since the last window shut is that Chelsea are going straight in for a midfielder when the window opens. I need to see that if I'm going to have any sort of belief in the new regime or any sort of belief that we are even attempting to try and salvage this season. Like I said, my confidence in this season is completely in the mud. I need the squad. I need the board. I need them to instill that confidence back in me. Bring in a midfielder. Bring in wing-back depth as well. That's all I'm really going to ask for January. I don't expect too much to be done in the window. But that's why I also don't really want to see us focusing on attackers. Although, I say that, now we're kind of in two minds because we've obviously seen the Broja injury and we're waiting to figure out the situation with him, but it doesn't look in any way like he's going to be back anytime soon. And with that in mind, does that mean we now have to go in for a secondary striker?
Oh, I'll take it.
You have to rely on Havertz.
I'll take it a step further. I've seen a fair share of injuries in my life, playing football and also watching it. I'm very worried about that one, and I'm going to keep an eye on how this guy comes back because that looked horrific. And I really, really hope Broja comes back to his best. But as of now, from what I've seen, obviously we haven't had an in-depth report in terms of the actual damage. But from what I've seen, it's not looking good at all. So bearing that in mind, we now have to look at the rest of the season. Now, who are going to be our striking options? Aubameyang and Kai Havertz. Aubameyang cannot play every single week. That's number one. Kai Havertz has not shown any kind of consistency in that number 9 position. Yeah, he shows purple patches, but it's not enough to be holding down that line for Chelsea Football Club. As of now, we're in a situation where we need a striker, bruv. We desperately need a striker, bro.
But even then, it's like I was of the idea of I will bring anybody up top over what we have last season. But we brought in Aubameyang, and the only thing that's highlighted to me is creativity is the much bigger issue than finishing. Because I get Aubameyang has had so much slander this season, but to me, I've kept saying it, and I'm going to keep beating it until I see him miss clear-cut chances. Aubameyang is a victim of the lack of creativity that we make in the squad.
Big fact.
I'll go back to Lukaku with it. We could talk about the 7 touches against Palace. He'd have more if we could feed him the ball quicker. Aubameyang is the same energy. If we could feed him the ball more. But we don't do it. That Arsenal game where he had 7 touches, I think, 7 or 8 touches. If Havertz cut the ball back to him once, he scores. We probably win 1-0, by the way.
Yeah, it changes the dynamic of the game, 100%, bruv. 100%.
And it changes the dynamic on the way we look at Aubameyang too, because he's turned up in a big game. He's turned up against Arsenal, the one fixture anybody wanted him to turn up for in the first place. We'd all look at him completely differently. Now everyone's saying he's washed, and I don't think he's washed. He's just a goal scorer, and you're not going to get anything else out of him. But that's why, in spite of all this, is the striker the main priority, or do we need to try and find somebody who's more likely to feed chances?
All things considered, right? Because this is the first time I've really thought about it. I still think the striker's not the priority. Now really thinking about it, really come to think about it, although Broja is injured, striker's still not the priority. And the way I'm looking at this season, and I've said, and you've said it, I think, as well, several times, for me, this is a write-off. Top 4 or no top 4, it is what it is. I've accepted it for what it is. Where I'm really keeping my eyes is what's happening in January and what happens in the summer. Anything in between, for me, success is a bonus. Any type of failure, for me, it is what it is. You just write off this season. Understand? But nah, bruv, it's got to be that midfield. And even Lewis, when you think about it, bruv, although Broja is still injured, that right wing back situation is still more of a priority, fam. Because we're struggling on that right side. When we play in top teams, we get opened up on that right side so much. Doesn't even have to be against the top team. Do you remember what's this guy, Danny Ings and them man done with Aston Villa when they came to the bridge?
Yep, Villa, Brentford,
yeah,
United, everybody. Literally everybody. And I agree. This is my thing as well, because we look deeper than just the wing back depth. I'm also looking at Reece James and thinking, we've signed this guy on a 7-year contract. The last thing we should be doing is now running him into the ground. That World Cup was enough of a scare for me, because if he pulled up to the World Cup, he'd never be the same player. Seen it happen to Titi in 2018.
Yep.
Torres 2010. Numerous times where players have rushed themselves back to a big tournament and they've not been ready. Reece James needs adequate cover. We've been linked with a couple of options. I've seen the likes of Frimpong, Kyle Walker-Peters, Pavard, Dumfries. None of them really fill me up with any joy, but do you feel like it's more just about putting somebody in that position? Because I remember Alex said something on my streams as well. Regardless of how we want to strengthen our depth, if there's someone who's even near the level of Reece James, they're not asking to warm bench. They want to start. And we don't want to push Reece James further back.
Well, here's the thing. I'll say this, bruv. Those last 2 names, Who were they again? I just know I didn't want them. It
Dumfries,
was
Pavard.
Yeah, them two names not for me. Pavard for me has got zero pace whatsoever. Technically, he's good, but he's got no pace whatsoever, and I still question him sometimes defensively. And Dumfries, this guy is an absolute bozo. Yes, he's done well in the World Cup. He's done well in the Euros as well. But going forward, it's not an issue with him. It's back, and him dropping back and getting back into position. Don't trust him whatsoever. The other three now, obviously, Reece James is going to be that number one guy because to me, he's the elite right wing back in the world right now. Do you know what I mean? When he's playing, there's no one better, in my opinion. So the drop off from there, it's got to be a little bit, but it can't be too much because you still need to keep up a standard. So when I'm hearing names,
Juranovic as well, though,
I would 1,000. He looks good. He looks good, but I'm going to be careful because he's played well during this tournament, so I don't want to commit too much. He looks good. But for me, the Kyle Walker-Peters, I will take because you know what you're getting from him, Premier League as well. And I think like his quality compared to
play on the left too.
Yeah, exactly. His quality for Reece James, he knows like obviously Reece is going to be the top guy, but it's Chelsea. Do you know what I'm saying? So it makes sense for him. Now, a wild card that I would throw in there, obviously he'd cost a lot of money, but I hear that he doesn't want to stay at the club. I'd be looking at Hakimi from PSG, bro. Now, this is
we reloading that.
This is pre World Cup. Obviously, I've seen enough of the player to know. And the reason why I say this is because, again, like Kyle Walker-Peters, he can play either flank, and he does it at a very, very high standard. So he doesn't necessarily need to get into Reece James's way. But if Reece James gets injured, now you've got a right wing back. If you want to play them both, Hakimi can go on that left flank. You see what I mean? So I think that one there, if there's a reasonable price, yeah, something south of 60 M's, I would be considering that 1,000%.
Hakimi would be a great shout, but goes straight back to the other issue. He ain't going to warm bench. And would we be playing him out of position on the left for the majority of his time? I'm not as sure about, but I do agree. If Hakimi's there, I'd bring him. I don't even care about him fucking us off a year and a half ago. We need him, and we need someone of that quality desperately. But I do think as well, it's a bit unrealistic.
It is. It's a very it's shooting high, but it's like I said, you're not signing him to replace Reece James, bruv. It's like you can still, because look at the left wing back situation. Yes, we've got Cucurella, right? He can also play left centre back. I know that's not my preferred position he plays, but in that situation with an injury prone Ben Chilwell, I'm taking him, bro. Because listen, also remember, we have to have quality in depth if we want to be thinking about competing for titles. We must. We can't keep taking risks all the time for secondary options. We do need some secondary options that arguably should be starting, but will be benched. And proof of that, Manchester City. How many of their players on the bench is walking into 9 out of 10 teams across Europe?
But Man City is also one of the biggest teams in the world right now.
They're not bigger than us, though.
No, but we ain't got that pool right now. I don't think that's where the UCL argument and everything comes into it. And I've said top four shouldn't be, being a Champions League team shouldn't be the be-all and end-all. But if we compare it to a Man City, 4 times Premier League champions out of 5, they're in a much more stable position. They have the best manager in the world. You could realistically go in there, and especially when you have to adapt to Pep's system, you spend a year on the bench anyway. So it just comes with it. With us, I don't think we're in that position to say, we want to bring you from the French champions, but you're going to warm bench. So you're going to have to hold that.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, true that.
But I agree anyway. Like if Hakimi was there and he wanted to come, bring him in immediately. I don't give a shit. I'd be down for that. There was news on Jude Bellingham as well. Chelsea want to try for Jude Bellingham, but it remains to be seen how serious their proposal will be.
I hope not.
There was talks a few weeks ago of us saying we were going to match any offer that was put on the table for Jude Bellingham, and I would bring him. I do think he improves us. I also just don't think he's worth the amount that he's eventually going to go for, especially with all the other clubs that are in for him. We shouldn't be spending over 100 million on anybody personally.
Not right
unless they're literally top 10 players in the world. We are not at that level. We should be rebuilding the squad, as many positions as possible, not being frugal and cheap for as little as possible, but we need to be budgeting and we need to be smarter. And I think 130 million for a 19-year-old who's going to have a lot of pressure on his back, who isn't near his peak right now, doesn't even look consistent, is not the right option.
No, this 140, 150 million, whatever he's been quoted. Look, Bellingham is a talented player, yeah, but I do feel that he is being overrated a little bit. Now, that's not to say, again, that's not to say he's not a quality player, but I think that he's got a lot more to prove. I also think as well, we're not in that position where we've got the luxury to spend that kind of piece. And it's like I said, me personally, if I had to choose which centre mid that I'm getting outside, remember, I'm saying centre mid outside the CDM, my first choice right now would be that Enzo Fernandez geezer. Straight up and down. That's my first choice. That's a man where I wouldn't mind if we're spending close to 100 M's for him. I would not mind that at all because you know what you're getting with this guy. This guy is an absolute top quality player. And on top of that, he ticks boxes of what we need. Right. So Bellingham, for me, again, it's a situation where you've addressed the goalkeeper situation, you've addressed the wing-back situation, you've addressed the midfield, you've addressed your attackers. Put him there. Until then, no, not for me.
Yeah, Enzo Fernandez, I think, would be going for that amount anyway because he's got a 120 million euro release clause or something along the lines of that.
We'll get him for less than that.
But even then, that's the immediate profile who comes in and brings you immediate results. That I can understand. If we're looking at Bellingham, we could equally be looking at Rice because I do think they're a bit more similar than people give credit for. But Rice is cheaper. Rice can play deeper if we need him to. And for 70 million, like my issue with Rice, I kept saying was only the price tag. As a player, I'm fine with bringing him to Chelsea. I think he improves us a lot. And for 70 million, bring him in. All this other interest from other clubs shouldn't be an issue. Because if he wants Chelsea first and foremost, he's only going to be thinking about Chelsea. So realistically, we could already have our eyes on one midfielder coming into Chelsea in the summer anyway. We just have to be smarter with where we spend elsewhere.
No, 100%.
Yeah, let me see what else you guys are saying in the comments of it as well. A lot of people agreeing on the Enzo quotes, completely agree as well. Any update on Moukoko? I saw from David Ornstein, he said Chelsea are exploring the possibility of bringing him to the bridge. A move to Chelsea is not done, but other Premier League clubs are under the impression that Chelsea are further advanced in talks and they're watching closely. But Moukoko, I don't think he's the sort of player who's going to come in and immediately bring results for us either. This feels like another future signing that's kind of being put under the spotlight a bit more because of Broja's injury. But that's again putting way too much pressure on the player. Guy's literally coming from the Bundesliga, and we know our record of Bundesliga forwards. He's not coming in and doing anything immediately. But I don't want him to have that pressure either. He looks like a good addition. He's absolutely killed at a youth level and has already broken into the Dortmund squad. There is a quality player in there, but he's not going to be at the Chelsea level right now. So I wouldn't want to hype him at that point either.
Moukoko looks like the real deal. 1000%. He does. I like the look of him. I think he's a very intelligent striker as well. And for his age, he's very composed and a good finisher. Yeah, now, you see in the situation of him, there's a couple of things that kind of make it an exception to the rule. The first one being that he's going to be available in a free. So if he's available in a free and talent like that, because we're talking about one of easily top 5 Europe's under 21 strikers here. Yeah. We bring him in. Remember, there's still a Aubameyang to take that pressure off. There's still Kai Havertz to take that pressure off. As good or shit as they may be, right? There's still 2 players ahead of him to take off that pressure. If he steps in, right, once we've got everything complete, that's a player that you're going to want to have. So for me, it's a hindsight signing. I'll take it now as an investment later on. Do you know what I mean? This one, I'm holding the stock long term for this one. Do you know what I mean? That purely for that fact. Now, if we were talking about Chelsea offering 60, 70 million, then I'd be like, no, why? For January as well, why are we doing that? To sign a CDM then?
Yeah. Completely. I think the main thing is just I don't want people to think this is going to be someone who comes in and immediately improves things for us. I don't think he'll do that. I don't expect him to do that. He might get more game time than we expect because of the Broja injury, but that's going to be about it. And in spite of that, we still have a big-ass creativity problem that he's not necessarily going to improve just yet. But at the very least, he can create some chances for himself. Just a small positive, but much more open league, much more open teams that you're playing. You have to trust it against a low block. So just bring him in as something for the future, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'd Bosman that one instead of paying a transfer fee in January. I'd just wait for that summer.
So he's free in the summer.
Yeah, apparently it's 6 months left, I think. So if it's 6 months left, then obviously you Bosman it in January and then he's there in the summer.
All right, cool. Any other comments in there? Arjan, we did speak about João Felix. Very unlikely, and I don't think either of us would bring him in unless Havertz left, because they're way too similar to have two of the same profiles, and one already needing to adapt and another just in terrible form. So I wouldn't necessarily bring him in right now. She's also said, should Ziyech be given another chance? I would, but it's up to Ziyech. If Ziyech wants to stay, I don't mind. But right now, I think his stocks are higher than they've ever been. That's in.
Why I'd sell him. Exactly for that pure reason, because his stock's the highest it's ever going to be now. Sell him right now. Same with Pulisic. Sell him right now. I want to kind of, sorry, I don't mean to take over, but a lot of Liverpool fans, Ilias is one of my subscribers as well. Big up
Ilias.
But I hate to burst your bubble, my bro. Fabrizio Romano came out and said that Enzo Fernandez, there's no deal that's been agreed with any club, by the way. Bellingham, I will say, and I've said it bare times for weeks, you lot are favourites. His dad is a diehard Liverpool fan. He's also a Liverpool fan. He's going to pick them with or without Champions League. But the Enzo Fernandez thing, yeah, you lot got to remember, you need to rectify your situation with your takeover at the club. Yeah, those are things that need to be addressed first. And you're talking to fans with experience, you know. We know all about this. So you might get a one-away Jude Bellingham because it's an easy deal to do because he wants the move. Do you know what I mean? And if the price is negotiated, it's an easy move. But the Enzo one, you're going to have mad competition, 100%. Real Madrid are interested. Chelsea are interested. But what I heard with Real Madrid, is that they're not trying to do the bidding war thing with Chelsea when it comes to the midfielders. So like your Jude Bellinghams and Enzo Fernandez. So let's see how true that is.
Good, because that made no sense to me. When I heard they were in for Enzo, it's like, you literally have a complete midfield. What do you need him for? Even the stuff with Leao, it's like, you literally have Vinicius on the left. What do you need Leao for? It makes no sense. But that's why I think maybe even for Rafael Leao, they're probably not going to go in for a bidding war. He's sort of literally spent 70 million already on Endrick, and he's not even going to go straight into their squad. That's already going to eat a hole out of their transfer budget. I did see on Endrick as well. It was financial terms that were the only issue between the two sides, and gives me a bit of confidence in our regime, because if we spent 72 million on him right now, when we have other midfield options, I'd be asking a lot of questions. But
yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad we didn't do that. Flawless saying creativity and scoring goals a problem. Ronaldo to the bridge. Do you feel like we might go back in for him because of this striker issue? Because I feel like this would be the perfect opportunity for Bowley to be like, yo, we need a striker. Broja's out for the season. Let me go and get Ronaldo in.
I don't think so, because I hear that Potter has said that he doesn't want to work with the player and he's got other targets ahead of him. And obviously for XYZ reasons outside of football being his behavior. Do you know what I mean? And if you're trying to build a core with young players that are stepping into first team and you want them to compete, that's not a mentality that you want at the club. Yes, there is pros. Yes, but there's their cons. Yeah, the pros are obviously it's Ronaldo, he's a goal scorer. In terms of mentorship and stuff like that, he would thrive with the kids. But then at the same time, the negative side to that is if he starts acting up at Chelsea again, what example is he setting to these kids that are like, and to a lot of them kids, Ronaldo's his hero. So it's a volatile situation where I don't want him near the club. I do not want him near the club. Absolutely not.
In fact, I don't think he improves a single thing for us. He is literally worse than Aubameyang is, and people are already complaining about how well-rounded Aubameyang is. At least he has semi-decent link-up play, and at least he can keep his legs moving for more than 30 minutes. Ronaldo literally cannot do anything like that. It's only for a few shirts sold. And by the way, Alex, you are a criminal for that front three. You are an absolute criminal. That is a disgrace.
You are a warlord, mate. You need to be nicked immediately, bruv. Flipping heck.
I know you're joking because you just want Ronaldo in at any cost, but same way, that's a disgrace. Do they have a pre-agreement with Enzo Fernandez? I haven't heard anything along the lines of this.
Fabrizio Romano came and shut the whole thing down, bruv. Nothing agreed with no clubs, bruv.
Unlucky, bro. Unlucky. Was there any other news on the day? Not really. there was the Athletics saying Memphis Depay was on Bowley's radar in the summer and he might be in again. I feel like he would be a bit more creative for us, but the ship's kind of passed with him already. I would have been willing to bring him in the summer. Now I'm not really as sure, but what would you feel about Depay to the bridge, just to wrap up?
I like him, but not for me. Not for me, bro. Again, Depay for me is when you've got your first 11 ready, and now you're adding reinforcements to the bench. Understand? So quality and depth. That's the kind of signing that he is for me. Outside of that, to be the main man, not for me. Again, several options I'd rather go for. Now, if we're talking players, yeah, now we go back to João Felix. I'm taking him ahead of Memphis Depay.
Yeah, he'd be a better long-term option for us as well.
That's what I'm saying. So for me, nah, the ship sailed. I think the best place for him to go, place for him to go would be Man United. I reckon it will work out pretty well for them. Under Ten Hag as well, I think it would work a treat with him.
Yeah, we'll have to see on it, but I don't think Depay to Chelsea is going to have any more legs to it. I feel like that was only just brought up because it got brought into conversation, but I don't think he'll be coming to Chelsea anyway. But guys, we are going to wrap up here. We weren't going to be on for too long anyway because both our throats are literally dying. I might be on Flawless's channel in a little bit, though. He's about to go live doing a World Cup semi-final preview. So we're going to raid that stream as well. This stream's going to go straight into Flawless's. So
wait. We got one more question that I feel that we got to answer, bruv. Yeah, we're being asked about Amari Hutchinson.
Oof, yes. Start him against Bournemouth. Straight. I didn't watch the entire friendly. I only saw highlights. But from what I've seen of him, even at Arsenal against our youth, this guy has been balling for the longest. So we've got a player there. We do. But again, it depends on what the plan is because he's not quite in the first team yet, and it depends who we're going to sign. So we got to see what happens with him. But I do hope he gets a chance, 100%. He can't be worse than Kai or anyone like that. I don't know if it's because I'm that down bad or anything, but I haven't been moved by an attacking performance like that all season, bruv. Like, just watching him on the ball, the decision-making he was making, how quickly he was making those decisions, the way he was beating players, nearly scored, hit the post in the first half.
Yeah.
And I think there was a second chance as well that was very similar to it too. Looked very, very good, especially compared to what I've seen from a lot of attackers this season. Obviously, Chelsea are going to have another friendly before the Bournemouth game. Hopefully, we can at least get a goal in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But if he has a very similar performance, as a bare minimum, he needs to be in the squad.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'd start him over what we have on the right. And if Ziyech still wants to be a part of Chelsea or not, there's no one else that's going to have that sort of performance off the right as what I saw from Hutchinson. We are that down bad, but he's played really well. And I think it's good enough to warrant a start, personally.
100%.
On Casady as well, he only played the last 20 minutes. Didn't see too much of him, but he was still the best number 29 I've seen for Chelsea this season.
Facts. He gives me don't know if it's a lazy comparison, but it does remind me a little bit of Michael Ballack. I don't know if it's just his stature and his frame because he's a big fucking kid. But the guy's got a rocket on him. He looks like a danger. Any space within like 30, 35 yards, he looks like he's going to punish you or at least hit the target, man. He looks proper.
Yeah, like we've already seen it in the development squad. I think the Villa game was not really enough to judge him on. The game was already done by that point and we never looked like we were making anything. But I do see the similarities in the frame. It's just about being able to hone in that football IQ, and that's just a matter of time with him anyway. But we're going to wrap up anyway. I'm going to be heading on to Flawless channel in a little bit, so check it out. You guys already know where to find Guni, but let them know where they can find you as well, my bro.
Man Knows Football is where you can find me across all socials. Make sure you follow the TikTok as well. I'm going to try and have a speedy recovery so I could get back on camera, but right now I feel absolutely rotten. But Lewis is my guy. I was never going to say no to Lewis. You get me? It had to be done. So, yeah, man, big up. Smash up the likes as well. Subscribe to Lewis. You already know. You get me?
Come on.
Chelsea legend out here we're talking about, bruv. Yeah, one of the originals. Yeah,
make sure you show
the like. Make sure you show some love. You get me?
Yeah, please, because like we're both dying out here, man. So anything would be appreciated. But guys, link to Guni is in the chat. It's in the comment section, description. It's in the title. It's everywhere, so you can't ignore it. So check it out. Like, subscribe. I think you're on the road to 15K. Am I right?
15K, that's correct. Yeah, yeah.
15K. So get him as close to it as you guys can. Every subscriber counts. Big up, everyone. Like, subscribe, and we are out.